हर मोड पे, हर पड़ाव पे आपके पास जब अपॉर्चुनिटी आती है तो हमारे पास ऑप्शन होता है whether to say yes or to say no. It would be a failure on part of everyone if the astronaut who is sitting in the capsule, जो बैठ रहा है, अगर उसको डर लग रहा है उस समय भी. It is very difficult to make education exciting. There is space for everyone in space.
Wow.
राकेश शर्मा ने कहा था कि ऊपर भारत सारे जहां से अच्छा दिखता है, बट उस समय के भारत में और आज के भारत में बहुत फर्क है.
So is there anything you find really funny?
When you don't have a ball in space, how do you play? You use an astronaut. So you can throw around astronauts and play ping pong with that.
Wow.
Yeah. So it is really interesting.
Greetings everyone. Welcome to LPU Talks. आज हमारे बीच भारत का एक ऐसा सितारा मौजूद है जिन्होंने अपनी हिम्मत, लगन और देशभक्ति से हम सभी को अंतरिक्ष तक पहुंचा दिया है. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Shubhanshu Shukla, Group Captain and Test Pilot, Indian Air Force. A very warm welcome to LPU Talks, sir. It is such a pleasure to have you on board and I'm really excited and looking forward to the conversation that we're going to have today. सर मैं जानना चाहूँगी कि जब एक उत्तर प्रदेश का लड़का एनडीए क्लियर कर एयरफोर्स ज्वाइन कर एंड देन स्पेस एक्सप्लोरेशन की तरफ बढ़ जाता है, सो हाउ डज दैट जर्नी शेप यू एंड हाउ डज दैट जर्नी टेक प्लेस एंड हाउ हैज ऑल ऑफ दिस बिन थ्रू आउट?
जर्नी तो एक तरह से आपने बताई दी, उत्तर प्रदेश का एक लड़का एनडीए ज्वाइन करके एंड एयरफोर्स में. सो आई थिंक जब इस जर्नी की शुरुआत हो रही थी तो ये मन में नहीं था कि ये जर्नी यहाँ पे पहुँचेगी या ये रास्ता लेगी, ये नहीं पता था. और शुरुआत के टाइम पे तो जो आपके सामने था, जो मेरे सामने था, वो एनडीए फॉर्म में एप्लीकेशन था, वो स्टेप क्रॉस हुआ. फिर एयरफोर्स में फाइटर पायलट बनने के लिए अप्लाई करके और उसमें सिलेक्शन होना, दैट वाज द नेक्स्ट स्टेप. फिर उसके बाद टेस्ट पायलट का सिलेक्शन होना, दैट वाज द नेक्स्ट स्टेप. एंड देन व्हेन इवेंचुअली एस्ट्रोनॉट्स का सिलेक्शन की बारी आई तो फिर देन you apply for that. So I think it was a series of yes for me rather than one plan from the very beginning to be an astronaut. हर मोड पे, हर पड़ाव पे आपके पास जब अपॉर्चुनिटी आती है तो हमारे पास ऑप्शन होता है whether to say yes or to say no. So I think most of the times I have a tendency to say yes, and I think that is what has brought me here.
That is beautiful. I mean there are so many people जिनको एरोप्लेन में बैठने से भी डर लगता है, and then there is you who has been to space. So was there something that you were very afraid of? It was a fear for you, and how did you deal with it?
Not really. There is not a lot of things. You're talking about in terms of the mission per se.
Yes.
No, I don't think. I think there is a very methodical way in which risk is managed. So we understand very well what is the risk. There are risks, obviously, but we do understand it, and they are mitigated. They are managed very well. So at the end of the day, it would be a failure on part of everyone if the astronaut who is sitting in the capsule, जो बैठ रहा है, अगर उसको डर लग रहा है उस समय भी. तो मुझे लगता है कि टीम का बहुत बड़ा रोल होता है इसमें कि आप किस तरह से सारी चीज़ें समझते हैं, एस्ट्रोनॉट्स को लूप में रखते हैं, उनको बताते हैं और कैसे आप रिस्क को मिटिगेट करते हैं. सो आई वॉज वेरी comfortable, I was very confident, but in spite of that, of course, there are moments, wherein there are some anxious moments which happen. But ठीक है, मुझे लगता है कि you have to push through that, you have to live through that, and I think you have to have the belief that it will work out, and both in terms of your capability of what you have built up over time, and there has to be some faith that it will eventually happen. I think both of them play a role.
And it's been beautiful. It's been a beautiful journey.
Yes.
Sir, like for example, we have around 350 plus varied courses here at Lovely Professional University, and I'm someone from journalism. So if I ever want to go ahead for space exploration, because it is very fascinating, so what would be the advice that you would give to students or youngsters like me?
What would you want to do in space exploration if I was to ask you?
I would want to know more about what actually happens in space, and maybe one day get a chance to see the other world.
So I think let's take an example of what you do. You are in journalism, right? So I think that we as a nation right now are standing at the cusp of something. We are standing at an inflection point wherein space is really catching fire, literally.
Right.
It is progressing at a very rapid rate. There is a lot of work happening. There is a lot of excitement that is happening. And we also need some responsible reporting, some responsible journalism in this case. It is very difficult to make education exciting. It is a challenging job. It is not easy. So in your profession, if you want to do something in space, you can read about space, you can learn about space and come up with ways and means how to make it exciting for people to know, to consume. And then eventually, when you get to travel to space, your experience of putting it back in words and putting it back in media, all that will go such a long way in educating this entire country of how to pursue this in the future. So I think there is space for everyone in space.
Wow.
So yes, I think it has the power to subsume or consume every other profession. I think it has the power to do that.
Yes, I completely agree with that. But sir, as we were talking about how fast we are going as a nation in this, in the regards of space exploration, so where do you see us in the next 10 years?
I do see us in a very good position in the next 10 years in terms of not just having in-house capabilities of capabilities which only a few nations possess as of today, but also in terms of a huge market, not just a local but a global market. So I see a lot of potential in this sector, and it is going to happen. The economy right now, whatever the values that have been attached to it, it has been projected that by 2033 it is expected to grow up to 45 billion. But that is based on the statistics that we have today,
right,
of how it has been growing.
Right.
Keeping other factors in mind. But the kind of excitement that is being created, the kind of positive sentiment that is being created, along with the support that they have from the government as well, I think that this number can be increased, not just to 45, but a much higher figure than this. And that will happen. So I think I see a lot of potential in this sector as we go forward for it to expand, and kids will finally have professions which they can choose in this field,
right,
as a career option, as a resource of as a career option in the future.
So there was this one particular question that I was very excited to ask you, and it was, आखिर कैसा दिखता है अंतरिक्ष से हमारा भारत? I was so excited to ask you this particular question.
This question has become famous because of Rakesh Sharma, sir, Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma. And anything I say after what he has said is not going to match up. That is an iconic statement that he has said. But as a tribute to him and as a tribute to our country as well, when I was coming back from the station, I said this in my farewell speech. As a parting speech that you do, that the first time travel happened in 1984. And राकेश शर्मा साहब ने कहा था कि ऊपर भारत सारे जहाँ से अच्छा दिखता है. बट उस समय के भारत में और आज के भारत में बहुत फ़र्क है. It is a lot has changed, and so today's India, आज का भारत प्राउड दिखता है, आज का भारत कॉन्फिडेंट दिखता है. It looks audacious, it looks capable. बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं, और इन्हीं सब कारणों की वजह से भारत आज भी सारे जहाँ से अच्छा दिखता है.
सारे जहाँ से अच्छा है, एंड सारे जहाँ से अच्छा होगा, हमेशा रहेगा. सर, आप जब आए तो आपका इंटरेक्शन हुआ हमारे प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के साथ, विच इज़ लाइक अ ड्रीम फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस. सो वो एक्सपीरियंस कैसा रहा आपका उनके साथ इंटरेक्शन का?
बहुत अच्छा इंटरेक्शन था मेरा उनके साथ में. वो खुद भी बहुत सारी चीज़ें जानना चाहते थे स्पेस के बारे में, कि चीज़ें कैसे होती हैं वहाँ पे, हम कैसे करते हैं, और उससे भी ज़्यादा आगे क्या करना है, जो आगे का प्लान है उसका रास्ता क्या है, और कैसे हमें वो चीज़ें इनेबल करनी है, उस पर भी काफ़ी चर्चा हुई. तो काफ़ी हद तक उनको काफ़ी डिटेल में काफ़ी सारी चीज़ों की जानकारी थी, जो कि वो मुझसे पूछ रहे थे और मतलब जानना चाह रहे थे कि कैसे हम इसको आगे करेंगे. उन्होंने अपना विज़न भी बताया कि वो देखना चाहते हैं 40-50 एस्ट्रोनॉट्स का पूल होना चाहिए, एक रिकरिंग मिशन की एक केडेंस होनी चाहिए हमारी, जो हम स्पेस में लोगों को भेजें और रिकवर करें. तो बहुत ही एनलाइटनिंग था मेरे लिए उनसे जो इंटरेक्शन था, और बहुत ही अच्छा लगा मुझे उनसे बात करके, जो जितना भी समय मैंने उनके साथ में बिताया. और एक दूसरी तरह की एनर्जी के साथ बाहर में निकला कि मन तो था ही हमें काम करने का, और जब आपको पता लगे कि सपोर्ट भी है पूरा, तो आपके हौसले और भी ज़्यादा बुलंद हो जाते हैं.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल सही बात है. सर, इज़ देयर एनीथिंग you find really funny that happened in whole of your training experience? Like, what was the funniest thing that ever happened?
Funniest thing?
Yeah, there might be something, maybe in the space, or maybe with other 3-4 people that you have.
Yeah, there are a lot of funny things that happen. When you have off time, you try to find ways and means to relax and just play around. And during that times, you come up with very different things. And I was just showing a video that when you don't have a ball in space, how do you play? You use an astronaut. So you can throw around astronauts and play ping pong with that.
Wow.
Yeah. So it is really interesting how things work in space. So there have been a lot of funny episodes, but yeah, I would highlight this one, that one day we decided to play ping pong with astronauts.
You did?
Yeah, we did. I just showed a video in my
Wow,
space, yeah.
I would love to see that video. Okay, I think it's time ki we have a rapid fire. All you have to do is be a little rapid and with a little fire. So my first question to you would be, so what is the weirdest thing anyone has ever asked you about space?
Weirdest thing?
Yeah.
Not the weirdest, but the most often asked question is, how do you go to bathroom in space? Yeah, that is a very common question that I get asked.
And how do you?
It's a normal thing. The only interesting part is that you don't need to be sitting upside down. Don't need to be sitting upright. You can be hanging on the wall or hanging on the ceiling. Anywhere you can be, and it will still work.
Right. So since we've seen you have coffee in the space, so coffee microgravity में ज़्यादा अच्छी लगती है या gravity में?
That's a tricky question. Actually, chai I can say that gravity में ज़्यादा अच्छी लगती है because this type of tea, ये वाली चाय अभी वहाँ पहुँची नहीं है. तो जैसे ही हमारी मसाला चाय पहुँच जाएगी, तो I think I would enjoy that much more in gravity.
And what would you choose, a fighter plane cockpit or a space capsule?
So there is a lot of gap between space missions, in terms of years. So I would choose a space capsule when it is flying, and in the intervening period, a fighter cockpit.
Okay. What was the most desi thing that you missed in space?
Desi thing that I missed in space, salt or spices. Like the food that we eat, like it is very flavorful for us. It's not so everywhere else, cuisine-wise as well. And the food that goes from NASA is also low in sodium, so it is not very. And your taste buds also get subdued. So I was really craving salt when I was coming back. So my flight surgeon जो यहाँ इंडिया से गए थे, उनको मैंने पहले से ही मैसेज पास करवा दिया था कि if you come, you please come with something. So he brought for me some mini kachoris and bhakarwadis, which were very welcome gift for me.
Yeah. And sir, last question, but not the least, of course. Sir, if you had the power to go back to time and talk to your 18-year-old self, so what would be that one advice that you would like to give?
18-year-old, I was already in NDA, so maybe let us say a few more years back. Let's say 12 years, 12 years or 12 to 15 years back, if I would go. For me, my personal story of how it has shaped up, I would just go and tell him to believe in himself.
And say yes all the time.
That I did, so I don't need to tell him, but yeah, belief would be something that I would like to tell him.
Beautiful. So thank you so much.
Thank you
and
so
with this,
much.
we'll have to wrap this up.
Yeah.
And everyone, I would like to end this with some beautiful lines कि आसमान से पूछो वो शुभांशु शुक्ला का नाम जानते हैं, हवा का हर रुख इनकी हिम्मत का पैगाम जानता है, भारत की मिट्टी ने हमेशा बस एक ही बात कही कि जो भारत के लिए जीता है उसे पूरा विश्व पहचानता है. Thank you so much, sir, for being here, and it was lovely talking to you. And I would love to be more fascinated about space. I'll make sure that I read and I report. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, and you did a great job. Fantastic.
Thank you so much.